back, everybody. This is Danielle Hayden, team leader of Keller Williams Ann Arbor, and I am here today with Martin Bouma of the Bouma Group Realtors in Ann Arbor, Michigan. How are you, Martin?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Looking forward to a few days of sunshine. We've had nothing but rain here in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's been hot, humid, and stormy lately. All right, so today we're going to talk about, last week we talked about the big why, right? And finding that motivation, harnessing that emotion, using it to channel your way through your goals. Now, this week we're going to talk about limiting beliefs, which I kind of see as sort of like the anti-hero to the big why. So first, Martin, you've had a lot of experience with limiting beliefs, defining them, noticing them, overcoming them. So how would you define a limiting belief?
Yeah, what really limiting beliefs are thoughts or opinions that you just believe to be the absolute truth, right? They tend to have a negative impact on your life, and because they stop you from moving forward. And sometimes we don't even really, I notice even myself, when I reach a roadblock, I don't even know that I have limiting beliefs, right? But when I really analyze it, like what's stopping me, I actually do. You know what I mean? I'm realizing, well, the reason I'm not making this breakthrough is because I honestly believe I can't accomplish that. And so it's just these thoughts that are not based on facts. They're just beliefs that you've, through experiences in the past life where people have said no or whatever, that hold you back from moving forward.
Oh, so that's interesting. Like maybe if you had experienced a lot of no's, maybe in a time when your skill level wasn't as high or your confidence level was high, you could project those past no's into current or future situations and actually cut yourself off before success.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to say, success is sequential, right? And a lot of people think that they can go boom to boom. Like even myself, when I looked at myself, I remember when I hired my first assistant, I thought I did a pay scale. I did up to 7 million GCI. I thought I would never sell more than 7 million in GCI.
You thought that was like more than enough, right? Like, well, that'd be great if I did.
I thought that 7 million in sales, my God, that'd be phenomenal, right? So, well, all of a sudden I got to 7, I go, wow, I could do that. All of a sudden then 15 became believable, right? But 15 wasn't believable to me at first. So success is sequential. So sometimes those limited beliefs get dropped as you slowly start moving forward, right? They always say you get to the top of the mountain, you can see the next valley, right? Or the next peak. And so now, then all of a sudden, I'm doing $100 million, right? Where if you would have told me even 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was going to do that. Well, no, not then. I would have possibly believed it back then. But, if I go back a number of years to say that I was going to do $100 million in business, I would have never believed that, right? But sequentially, I got there.
So how do you notice when a limiting belief has kind of crept its way into your life? Do you go through any certain process where you check for them?
When I hit a roadblock, when I'm in a situation where, I'm not moving forward, what's stopping me? And quite often it comes to limiting the belief, right? And a lot of times, a lot of the limiting beliefs are what? Fear of success, right? Fear of failure. That's a great big limiting belief, right? Fear that we're not good enough to achieve what we want, right? Fear of not being loved. And fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection, I think, is huge.
Those are the big ones. I think fear of failure and fear of rejection, right? And so I know that a lot of times making the decisions that are hard, you don't make them because you're afraid of those two reasons, right? And so you sort of have to sit down and write down what is that limiting belief, and what do you have to do to work around that, right? And write those down and hit them, face them head on, and then work with affirmations and do a lot of reading and listening to webinars and things that are uplifting and give you confidence, right? You got to build your own confidence.
I absolutely think it comes down to confidence, not to judge anyone who's lacking in it right now, because we're all going through our own journey and our own process. But I did a bold law of the day 66-day challenge. I'm still doing it. And one of the first ones I covered was you get what you deserve in your imagination. And I think that this is a really critical point that you have to ask yourself, like, why do you feel that you cannot hit that goal or cannot succeed to that level? You got to check something internally. Something is telling you you don't think you can do that. Well, why? Right?
Right.
The other thing that I heard you say is a lot of your process of checking has to do with fear, right? So a simple question of asking, what am I afraid of? What's the worst that can happen if I actually try?
Yeah, you're afraid you're making the wrong decision sometimes, right? Like even in a business thing, you're like, what are the consequences of my decision, and am I willing to live with those consequences, right? And I think that's what holds me back a lot. When it gets to certain decisions that you have to make that are not always the easiest, but they say make an easy decision and you're gonna have a hard future, or you can make a hard decision and you're gonna have an easy future, right? You make those, the harder the decision, the easier it's probably gonna be down the road because you dealt with something up front, right?
Mhm.
And so that is, if I look at myself, quite often with me, it's the fear of the consequences, and am I capable of handling that?
So, so you just brought up something that I realize I've been going through quite a bit in my head recently, which is fear of the unknown, not making a decision because there's fear of the unknown, right? And I came to an epiphany recently where it's like, well, how do you get to know the unknown? There's
Right.
no choice but to decide to take the least risky move into the unknown to see what it's like and make it known, and then you can make an informed decision.
Yeah, no. And sometimes, like I'm a high C, I want so much information before I make that decision, right? And it's, but yeah.
So, last question for you then. When it comes to yourself, your family members, your team, what daily practices do you go through to pre-manage limiting beliefs to make sure that you are already starting in that positive mindset?
You know what I'm doing a lot? I'm surrounding myself with people who are already where I want to go. Okay. And I like through different Facebook groups, through just associations that I have with certain people. I'm reading a lot. I've made a commitment to reading a minimum of 1 hour a day. I listen to a lot of webinars. And I try to stay away from negative people.
I love that. I'm taking notes.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put some of this on my own daily agenda going forward. All right, Martin, if people want to get a hold of you, talk about a career in real estate, or what it's like to be on a team like yours, how can they get a hold of you?
They can always reach me on my cell, 734-260-9444.
All right. Thanks so much, Martin Bouma. As always, it's our privilege to have you as a guest. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you want any more information on Keller Williams, please get in touch with Martin or myself. You can find me at Danielle@bettongroup.org, and we'd be happy to talk to you.
Excellent. Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye.